On a defining night, destiny firmly established itself as the cornerstone for Faith Kipyegon, cementing her status as this year's unrivaled athlete. Nobody in track and field is having a better season than Faith Kipyegon. I'm going to say it again. Absolutely nobody has touched the heights. No event, nobody. This is the woman of the year. She's firmly etched her name as the greatest 1500-meter runner the world has ever witnessed. The remarkable Soufiane El Bakali, securing 3 major titles consecutively, commanding ahead of Lemaitre Girma from Ethiopia in the men's 3,000 meters steeplechase. What a culmination of the women's discus throw tonight. Spectacular from La Luga to Saga. And if you wanted added excitement, of course, the Italian standout Gianmarco Tamberi clinching his first world title to add to that joint goal he has with Barshim from the Tokyo Olympics. The 400-meter semifinals showcased some excellent levels of athleticism, equally noteworthy blazing times in the women's 100-meter hurdles. But amidst all these exciting things tonight that we saw at the World Championships, there was moments of heartbreak, and we saw the end of the likes of Stephen Gardiner, Dalila Muhammad. Many of them faced disappointment tonight. And we're about to unpack day 4 of the World Championships. I find myself in a situation where there's a number of captivating stories, and I hope you're up for this engaging discussion. I want to thank you for joining me, and we're going to unpack a lot of things tonight. But we have to begin with the superstar from Kenya. What a night for Faith Kipyegon, in what I can only describe as a comfortable victory. She wasn't tested. Easily 3 minutes 54.87. She led all the way, pretty much. I don't think Faith actually got out of third gear tonight. No one really pushed the pace on her. She was in control all the way, and it's clear that they knew she was going to win, and there was no need to try and do anything. There's nothing Sifan could bring. There's nothing Diribi could have brought. And they had to all stand in awe of the Queen. So Faith Kipyegon, all my buddies in Kenya, you have to stand up tonight. This is our 5th global 1500-meter title. So that's 3 world championships in a row. And you add those back-to-back Olympics. Obviously, she has some more medals as well. And when you look at the season so far, the world record 3:49.11 over 1500 meters, the record in the mile 4:07.64, and also the 5000 meter record 14 minutes 05:20. Nobody is in that kind of class. And we can't wait. I just cannot wait for the 5,000 meters, because again, that will be intense. We'll get to see what the likes of Gudaf Sagai will do. Hassan is back again. But it was a lovely evening for 1,500 meters. I didn't expect the world record. I'm not quite sure if you expected the world record. But we often come to these major championships and know that the middle distance and the distance athletes, they don't really go for the world record. Excuse me. they try to control this more tactical race. There's no pacers, there's no wave-like technology. And pretty much Faith had it all her way. Shout out to Ethiopia for picking up a silver medal, Diribi Weltelje, 3:55.69. And Sifan Hassan finally getting another medal on the major stage at 3:56 flat. And this could have been potentially a bronze and a gold for Sifan if she didn't fall, or at least a silver and a bronze. And we can't not say something about Ciara McGinn from Ireland. National record, but she had to settle for a distant fourth. And so it was a lovely evening for the 1500 meters. And long may it continue. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. I know some people, this is a track and field show tonight again, and we have to unpack many of these things. And if you're a true fan of track and field, it's important that every event counts. And the World Championship delivered tonight again. All right, so don't forget to get your comments and your questions. I'm here for it on the rebroadcast. I'm definitely here. And we're going to stay. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, smash that like button. When you smash the like button, a lot of people know that we're here and they come on. And so if Sifan, if Faith Kipyegon gave us something to savor, I put it to you that Soufiane El Bakkali is a big time runner. This is 3 in a row, men's 3,000 meter steeplechase, and he comes away with his second World Championship gold medal to add to the gold medal he has from the Olympics. This guy is something special. He has not lost any major, and I put it major race, since 2021. And I'm going to take a turn here and kind of unpack something that might be controversial for some. And I love my Ethiopian friends. But I think Lemaitre Girma has a lot of questions to answer. He just can't deliver. And if there's a year, I think, that you could have got El Bakkali, this was the year. If you wanted to beat him, this was the year. You have the world record, and you show up to the major title, the biggest race of the year, and you provide us with nothing. No pushing El Bakkali, not taking out the pace, and it makes me wonder what's wrong with Girma. Because for the first time in a long time, I thought Girma would have been able to challenge. In the end, we're looking at 8 minutes 3:53. It's not particularly super fast time, to 8 minutes 05:44. Girma, something is not right. I really think that this was the year for Lemaitre Girma to do something. He had a fantastic season, and I just don't quite understand how we can't hang with him. And maybe, as I put it to you, and you can tell me, it's quite possible that when it comes to these big races, it's El Bakkali. He has the strategy, he's in your head, and you can't quite figure out what to do. Because for the first time, I think I had Girma winning. And I was questioning myself in my predictions about this. But I was like, look, the dude this year has been having a spectacular season. We know this. And how is it that you're having such a great season and you just fall so far off of it? Girma ran 7 minutes 52:11 this year. 7 minutes 52:11. You know how far away from 8:05 that is? All the way back in June. And then you come to this World Championships and you allow El Bakali to just control the pace. A lot of questions to answer. I like Lemaitre Germa a lot, and it's not about me bashing him or anything like that. But I just felt like this was your time. This was your time to really think about what it means to take a world championship title. And yeah, it just didn't happen. And I guess El Bakali has your number, and until when he stops running, that may be your time. Thank you everybody for joining me tonight. That makes sure we're unpacking a lovely day of track and field. You know, we started off with the great Faith Kipyegon, the athlete of the year. There's no question about that. There's nobody that is performing at her level. And if she adds that 5,000 meter title, which was going to be a big, big, big race with the likes of Segai again and Sifan Hassan, then it's unquestionably one of the greatest seasons we'll ever see in track and field. Added the 5,000 meter world record, the 1,500 meter world record, and a world record over 1,000 meters. So big, big time for track and field. All right. And so make sure you get your thoughts in. I notice we have a lot of silent viewers tonight. I appreciate you. I mean, don't forget to come and talk about anything you want. I mean, you can bring up anything yesterday, the day before. All right. So I want to shift gears again. I know this time I want to talk about what I thought was a spectacular story of the night. Let's go a little bit into the women's discus. That was something. The Americans taking 1-2. That's something that they've never done at the World Championship. And not only that, it was a tremendous kind of a season and almost unbelievable when you think about the story of the saga. So, La Luga, and I hope I'm not butchering it, if you think about her story, she's been around for a little bit, but this year she had to go to a massive throw at the USA trials in order to meet the standard for the World Championships. She gets it. She's in the final, and she needed a big throw on the third throw in order to get an additional 3. She finds it. So on throw number 3, she goes 65.56, which then takes her into 5th place, if my memory serves me correctly. And on her 5th attempt, at a time when Almond thought she may have had this won, the woman steps up and gives us a 69.49, a PB, massive, massive throw, gets a gold medal. Almond has to settle for a silver, 69.23, still a very good throw. She's gone over 70 meters this year. And Bing, the defending champion, 68.20, gets the bronze medal. Lovely night for discus. There's a lot of high-level talent there. Sandra Perkovic, one of my all-time favorites, season best in 66.57 for 5th. But this is the story, and you could hear it from the woman. She was yelling. The crowd was with her. This is one of the most amazing performances I've seen in a very long time, especially at every key moment she needed to deliver. And so she did. She needed to deliver at the USA National Championships in order to get that standard to go to the World Championships. She needed to deliver a big throw on throw number 3 in order to continue throwing. And then she launches the discus way out there at 69.49 on the 5th throw, puts herself right on top of the podium. And nobody can respond after that. And so it's an amazing night for the women's discus. Amazing night tonight. We've seen some incredible performances. And yeah. Oh yeah, thanks for saying that. Yeah, the Dutch woman also, yeah, took silver for, yeah, she's a some superb talent. I think she's what, only 23? Is she 23? Yeah, something like that. Yeah, good technique. I think there's some things to iron out there. I appreciate you joining me tonight. Yeah, but it was a lovely, lovely, lovely round of discuss throwing, and yeah, we'll long may it continue. What I like when I'm seeing these numbers, and we're seeing people getting closer to that 70-meter mark, I think women's discuss is in a healthy space, and hopefully it will continue. So yeah, thanks again everybody for joining me. It's just an unpacking show. This day number 4 of the World Championships. You know, I promise you I'm coming live every night. So make sure that if it's your first time and you want to make sure that you know when I'm back live, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and YouTube will do everything else for you. I appreciate you tonight. Don't forget to drop your comments into the chat. Once you drop it, I'll put it on the screen. We'll engage. This is how I roll. And I thank you so much for joining me. And let me know where you're joining me from. Even if you don't have a question for tonight, let me know where you're joining me from. All right. So that was, I'm going to stay with the field events. I want to stay with the field events, and I want to go to what I thought was also a spectacular night for track and field. And somehow, you know, I felt good competition tonight. So the first thing I have to say is that Mutaz Barshim's reign as world champion is over in terms of his consecutive runs. One of the greatest of all time, potentially the greatest of all time, depending on how you want to think about this. But the night tonight belongs to his good friend, Gianmarco Tamberi. And as many of you know, if you go back to the Tokyo Olympics, they shared the gold medal in what is one of the great stories, one of the Olympic moments that will live on longer than all of us will, long after all of us are gone. And it was a very good night for high jumping. And shout out to the youngster, Javon Harrison, tremendous talent. A two-sport jumper, great over long jump. And for my mind, I think he should stick to the high jump, but you know, I'm not here to tell him what to do. Both of these gentlemen tonight clearing 2 meters 36, world leading time. They brought their best to the championships. Tamberi winning on a countback. And it was a tremendous night for high jump. Good technique on display. And, you know, they all failed at 238, but it was good, you know, 236, 233. Very good night. I was a little bit disappointed by Wu. I thought Wu would have showcased something better. I am not sure if he's struggling with something. There's no indication that he was, but I thought he would have been disappointed not to go over the 2 meter 30 mark. Personal best by the Cuban, 233. And so it was a good night for the high jump. Really excited about it. I thought it was a really, really good competition. Did you enjoy the high jump tonight? It was a spectacular night for high jump. All right. So I'm going to move along because I want to make sure I cover everything that happened tonight. And I think the only other place that we should start, I suppose, is to go to the semifinals of the men's 400 meters. There's a number of good stories here. Lovely kind of running, I thought, this evening. And also some major disappointments. And so we'll talk through them right now. So I want to go through first semifinal number 1. And I want to talk about the Jamaican kid, Antonio Watson, because what a run from him. A 44.13, a PB, ensuring that he secures a preferred lane in the final. Comes off the curve, very well, commanding position, clearly tiring at a little bit at the end, but very, very good running from him. And for a kid getting onto the major stage for the first time, this is a good performance. This is better than good. He's probably in Wonderland right now. And so shout out to him. Shout out to Vernon Norwood. Some people call him the journeyman. He's been around for such a long time. And he finds his way to overtake the likes of a Wade Van Niekerk on the home stretch, comfortably getting in as well at 44.26, a personal best for him. So, but Watson and Norwood had to come up big time in order to get on to make sure that they qualified automatically. And Wade had to go in the queue room for a little bit to sweat. Wade made it in the end. I was a bit disappointed by the race of Wade. I wasn't quite sure what he was doing, and I thought this season's a year for Wade Van Niekerk. And maybe he's carrying something. I don't know if anybody saw anything about Wade, if he has disclosed anything, because at the final Diamond League, if my memory serves me correctly, just before the World Championships, Wade was talking like as if he was ready to go sub 44, and then he didn't. And now he looked comfortable in the opening round. I don't know if it's the heat or something, or just a classic miscalculation, but you know, he had to sweat a little bit. 44.65. It's not a terrible time. I mean, that's a reasonable time. Maybe he didn't expect the likes of a Watson or a Norwood to run that hard, but it was a very, very good run. Unfortunate for the likes of a Jareem Richards from Trinidad and Tobago, didn't qualify, and the Botswanan guy too also faded. So that was a lovely semi-final. Let me get to some comments. Thank you everybody for joining me. Shem, oh, good to see you. Big run from Watson. Yeah, that kid. I didn't know it was. I as we watched him all season, I felt that Watson had something to give, and he seemed level-headed, as if he was focusing. It was intense focus this year, but I didn't think he could go 44.13. He'll have some more time to rest. You probably need to repeat a 44.13. Might put him in a good position to challenge for a medal. I mean, can he go faster? What your thoughts? And anybody think he can go faster? Yeah. This is Mark the Groot, if I'm pronouncing that properly. What a drama. What a drama, a semifinal. Yeah, we'll get to this. I think you're going to talk about the second one in a second or so. Yeah. Well, thank you guys for joining me. Yeah, let's get on to the second semifinal. That one was a tough one. But in this second semifinal, I felt happy in some interesting ways. And I'm going to talk about it. And so Matthew Hudson-Smith from Great Britain, he's back. He looks like he's in good form. Era record for him, 44.26, ahead of Kirani James. And England Vincent, Vladson rather, getting in the small queue, 44.70, getting into the final as well. And I think Hudson-Smith was good, ran very well. But I think the night belongs to Kirani James, because I have to be honest with you, I did not think James would have come to this World Championships and do anything. I didn't even know he was going to show up at this World Championships, because the guy has suffered some tough things this year in particular. He's suffered a lot of things over the years as well. Illness, losing family members. But to lose the coach, it's just a horrible thing that happened. And to pick himself up, to represent himself, to represent the Spice Island of Grenada, I just didn't think he would have found a way to do it. And tremendous character here, testament to his resilience, grit, whatever you want to call it. And so I wish Kirani well. At this stage, I just feel like I want Kirani to medal, just for all of what happened to him this year. It would be just a fitting moment. It would be a great tribute to his late coach as well. But that was a good race as well. And then semi-final number 3, this is where some serious heartbreak. Won by Quincy Hall, getting into his first final. Hall, as you know, I think has been transitioning into this 400 meters thing again. 44-43, ahead of Sean Bailey from Jamaica, 44-94. But coming off the top, or as they're about to come off to get onto the home stretch, Stephen Gardiner looked comfortable. And the next thing we knew, he was on the ground. But before we get to that, even before we lost Enduri from Botswana. And the Botswanan guys are struggling. And I expect the Botswanan guys to do really well in the 4x4. I'm not quite sure what will happen now, given the loss of Enduri. But I suspect they still have enough people to make a good run over the 4x4. But it's just unfortunate that we lost Stephen Gardiner tonight. Last year, he was unable to defend his title. And he comes back, gets a sub 44. For my money, he would have won this title really comfortable. Was it yesterday or the day before in the opening round, he had to be stretchered off. And to be honest with you, he just didn't look himself even lining up at the start. He looked a little pale to me. Maybe it was I was watching it from my iPad at the time, so it could have been lighting, but he didn't look himself. But he was comfortable. And it's just unfortunate that he picked up an injury. Initially, I wasn't quite sure what the injury was, but he posted on social media that his season is over. He says heartbroken, but will not give up. And he said, today during my 400-meter semifinal, I suffered a grade 1 sprain of the tendon extending into the knee of the right posterior thigh. And he continues to say, unfortunately, this will be season ended, but I'll be okay. I would kindly like to thank the Budapest medical staff, team, Bahamas, my management, coaches, and fans and sponsors for always believing in me. And so that was Stephen Gardiner's response to after being, getting medical attention. And I wish him a speedy recovery, because this is one of the top guys over 400 meters. A guy that I thought had also the potential to challenge a world record. Not saying he would have gotten it, but we know he has a lot of speed over 200 meters as well. And a fit Stephen Gardiner, everything going well, is a threat. Unlikely you can beat him. And so this is sad. So I just wish for him the very best. Hopefully he can recover in time and get back in good shape to defend his Olympic title. So this was a tough one. But we end up with a set of guys who I think will do fairly well in the men's 400-meter final. And I think if Wade van Niekerk can find himself, which I'm not quite sure, he doesn't look so good as I thought he would have been. Who knows? He could finally find his way back on top of the podium after what happened. The last time I think Wade was on the podium would have been London. And so on the gold medal, London, and then he suffered those injuries. So we'll see. But I'm excited for this. I'm excited for the young kid from Jamaica, Watson. I think going into the semifinal, I think Hudson Smith will try and challenge the likes of a Vernon Norwood. And you never know what you'll get from a Kirani James. A lot of medals, a lot of experience. The guy is something special. So we're going to end up with a lovely final. And that will be coming up, I think, in a couple of days. So yeah, thank you everybody for joining me. I mean, get your thoughts on the performances today. I appreciate you. Don't forget to smash that like button. All right. I want to move to the first thing that happened this evening, and we're going to go back to some more events. But I want to turn our attention to the women's 100-meter hurdles. I've said it a lot that the women's 100-meter hurdles is quite possibly the most competitive event in all of track and field. Arguably, it's the most competitive event. Stacked all over. At any given time, you could have women from all over the place winning. And we have a close to full complement of some of the elite athletes here. Of course, we're missing the likes of a Brittany Anderson and so, but the women turned up today. And so I just want to go through a couple of things. There's some major things that happen, and I really also want to zone in a little bit on Kenny Harrison's attempt and maybe what they're trying to deliver on and unpack that, because I think that at first struck me as strange, but I'll get into that. So let's start off with semifinal number one. That was won by Jamaica's Akira Nugent. Both her and Masai Russell from the United States recorded the same time of 12.6 seconds. Those two are no strangers to each other. They've been battling a lot throughout the collegiate season, if you follow that space. And they look comfortably for my liking. 12.60, easy as you like. The Irish woman Lavin also qualifying, also Malaya from France. And it all goes down all the way to the top 6 individuals. Both of them got small cues. So the Canadian Harrison, which that's a big thing for her as well. So lovely opening start. And you see a 12.60 in these conditions this time, given where the hurdles are going. You're like, that's fair. That is fair. Nothing to sneeze about. People go back home and they decide to, do something. Semifinal number 2, you get the likes of Ania Ali, a woman that I have a lot of time for. Unfortunate at times, former world champion. 12.55 looked very good. I think she was hurdling really nicely. She gets, wins her heat. Nothing to write home about. Easy as they like, early morning stroll in the office, right? And then things take a massive turn. We get to heat number 3. And all of a sudden, Kendra Harrison, the former world record holder, decides to do something that I don't understand. She went out as if she was trying to break the world record. And she wins the semifinal in a time of 12.24 seconds. That's a ridiculous time. Only a few women have ever run faster than that, including herself. Bringing along with her, the former Boilermaker and the Bahamian Devon Charlton, national record 12.44, former world champion out of Jamaica, the Johnson C. Smith, graduate as well. Over the summer I was fortunate to see the athletics facilities at the Johnson C. Smith. I was there for something else, and they have Daniel Williams' picture on the inside of when you go in underground, where they have near the stadium where the athletic training facilities are, and you look at those facilities and you're like, certainly not the kind of facilities you see at a Power 5 conference. And they've produced some big time athletes out of that HBCU in Charlotte, North Carolina. And Daniel Williams in a season best, 12.51. Semba out of Great Britain also qualifying 12.83, season best for her. And the Finnish athlete, Hurski, 12.92, qualifying on a small cue. What was Kendra doing? I don't understand it. I understand that the hurdles have changed somewhat, so they get a break and they'll come back again, do the semifinal, and then they'll come back for the final. So there's a lot of time for rest and cool down and recovery. But it's also super hot there in Budapest, unless the weather is going to change for the better in the next couple of days, and I haven't looked at it. But why run 12:20? Why run that fast in the opening round of any event? It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. I mean, this should have won almost every Olympic title. Almost I think it may have. I mean, most world titles as well. I mean, it's just outrageously fast. But you know, Bobby Kersey is Bobby Kersey, so we are not supposed to question. Heat number 4 featured the Olympic champion, the woman out of Puerto Rico, Jasmine Camacho-Quinn. A hurdler that, if she has a broken leg, will still show up. This is the kind of athlete Camacho-Quinn is. Tough as nails, brings it, qualifies 12:50. I think Vessa from the Netherlands looked good as well. 12:68. Kambunji, 12:71. She's been having a good season as well. I think Kambunji this year had national record as well for the Dutch. The Australian Mucci also got in 12:90. But I still can't get over the Harrison thing. But that was good running there. And then in the fifth and final heat of the morning, we got to see the world record holder and defending champion, Tobi Amusan, running a very good 12:48. Megan Tapper out of Jamaica, I thought, got off to a flyer, was looking comfortable. Amusan took her down. Probably run a little bit harder than she probably needed to run, but maybe she had something to prove. She wanted to show that she was in good shape as well. Maybe it's a response to what Kendra was doing, a response to Camacho-Quinn. You never know. But those two looked very comfortable qualifying. I thought Megan was looking really good, sharp over the hurdles. Maybe something in hurdle 10, 9 and 10, but it's an opening round, no big deal there. And the Australian Michelle Jenke also 12:71, looking good. And we got to see Tobi, as many of you know. Tobi was provisionally suspended earlier this year by the Athletics Integrity Unit for what we think are whereabouts violations. Went to the disciplinary committee, to the disciplinary tribunal to be exact, and she was cleared. And so she is here to defend her title. I want to say a word on Tobi, and I mean it in no disrespectful way or ways that it's not a demeaning way or thinking about it. I've seen a number of questions being asked by journalists in the call room, and many of them don't necessarily want to focus on the race itself. She got questions about the performance and so on. But a lot of journalists have been asking about the whereabouts violation, for her to shed some light on it, and even to shed light on how she managed to win the case. And it seemed to be off-putting to Tobi. I don't think she liked that line of questioning. And I suspect she may also think that people are doubting her And when you take into consideration that the athletics integrity unit is considering whether or not they'll protest the decision, I suppose that gives journalists more questions than they have answers for, especially since a process like, especially since the appeals process tends to be secretive until it moves through the process to go to cast the court for arbitration for sport. And so Tobi didn't like those lines of questioning. Maybe she got one too many. I'm not quite sure how many she got. But here's what I have to say. I understand her position. However, what else do you expect? No serious journalist will allow that issue to go without additional questions, especially since we didn't necessarily get a major press conference so people can unpack what happened and get to ask those questions. And I know when you get into competition, you just want people to ask you about the race and how you're feeling and your thoughts about what you'll do for the second round. But those questions will come. So it's one of those things. The journalists have to ask it. If they don't ask it, then sometimes their credibility will go online. That's the problem. That's not the problem. That's the part of the business that can be uncomfortable. You often don't get the questions you want. But I can understand from her position why she might be feeling that she's been under attack, and that they're out to get her. And I get it. I do get it. I think that's natural. That's also likely to be the sentiment if you were to take a look at the media, so what and so on, what's happening. But I would say to Tobi that you just have to block those out. If I'm doing it from the coaching side, and if I'm doing it from the team or the management, block those things out and focus on delivering. This may be the time to not ask any more questions, to go through the call room. I mean, I know there's an obligation, but if you don't want those questions, you have to probably hide from the media because they're going to ask them. This is what they're going to do, and we might not like it, or you might not like it, but they want to know, and I think the whole world probably wants to know as well. So this is what I think is happening. So it's not I don't think they're out to get you, or maybe not all of them. Maybe there are some with an agenda. It happens. There's bents in the media. Not everybody is fair and balanced as you want them, but you just can't expect that a tough, hard-hitting journalist won't ask that kind of question. That's how I think about it. So block it out if you think it's going to impact you, and if you just only want to talk about the performances and so on. But the Olympic champion, the world champion is back. 12:48 is decent. It's more than decent, and we're heading into a lovely semifinal lineup in a few days' time. I'll get to that in a second. Good evening, Sinclair. Thank you for joining. Yeah, Tobi was. I mean, I get it. I mean, she has to pick up for herself, but it can come off in some interesting ways. And I don't necessarily think when you're the one being peppered with questions, you don't necessarily think about how it looks from the other side and so on. But it is you just have to figure out a way how to respond to that. I mean, even if it's just like, I'll respond to it after the championship, and you just stick to it. At some point, the journalists will stop asking, right? But you can't then get into like a back and forth with them, because they're going to beat you with experience, and they're just because they're going to go and sit down and write 1,000 words and embellish if they wanted to, or even don't. There's no need to embellish it. Just write 1,000 words because this is how it happened. Yeah. So that's the thing. Ah, yes, that guy is special, El Bakali. I said it at the top of the show. Thank you for joining me. I'm not quite sure if this is your first time. Welcome. If you've been here before, I appreciate you coming back. That guy is special. Sufyan El Bakali, as I said before, is special. It's clear he has the number of Lemaitre Germa. I I said it in my preview show, I think a couple weeks ago, and maybe when I was just talking on other shows, when that if there was a moment in time where Germa should have won or had a better chance to win, it would have been this year. World record, looking good, all of that kind of stuff. And he just can't match Sufyan, and El Bakali is just a special, special guy. What's that, 3 in a row? You're not beating him. He's comfortable. I think when when you look at his face across the line, I have to wonder if he even believed that he did it this time. Because the guy knows how to come at the major championships and deliver. And that's something special. Yeah. What are you saying, Sha? Maybe she should not. Maybe that's what they need to do. Maybe she has to just zoom through or avoid them until afterwards. But no one saw her, right? Remember, her clearance was just right before the championships, and there wasn't any time to unpack anything. And when they see you, they're gonna ask a lot of questions. This is how these people operate. This is not no two ways about it, right? They will ask you the tough questions, and oftentimes you don't like it, but this is what will happen. I want to quickly just touch on the semifinal lineup for the women's 100-meter hurdles, which I think is coming up on what day is it coming up on? I may have missed this. I just want to look at the start list. So tomorrow is day 5. I think the hurdles is coming up on. Oh yeah, it's tomorrow, right? Like, sorry. Let me just quickly get to that before my producer might be like wondering what am I doing. Tomorrow is day 5. We'll get into some of it. Yeah, so the semifinals for the women's hurdles are tomorrow, and I just want to quickly go over that because I think there's some really exciting stuff happening here. So semifinal number 1, as you know, only the first 2 will automatically qualify, and the 2 fastest. And so there's Kendra Harrison, who 12:24 season best, way out there already. You have to think she's starting favorites. Charlton looks good. Also, Tapa look good as well. I think those 3 are the ones that I would be looking at. Maybe Kambunji could sneak up and do something. She had a 12:4 this season, so I'm not quite sure. But, I think automatic qualification it's going to be between Kendra and the 2 Caribbean athletes. That's how I would go with it right now, if we had to break it down. Semifinal number 2 is a little bit more interesting. This is a tough one, extremely tough one. You have 2 athletes with tremendous talent in the likes of Masai Russell and Akira Nugent in terms of upcoming talent. But we have to put into context the collegiate season. Well, both of them have already run, some super fast times for the year, 12.3s and 12.4s. Then you have the defending champion, the world record holder, who I think is probably having a chip on her shoulder right now. Like, she's running with something, maybe not a chip, but she's running against the world. And that is not, that, a Tobi looking to explode on the track might be dangerous. I think this is a tough semifinal. I suspect Tobi will make it through. And it's, maybe the likes of Russell and Nugent, one of the 2, depending on who executes the best. I think it's going to be a little bit too much for the rest. That's how I would look at it. Yeah. And then in the third and final heat, semifinal. Camacho-Quinn, Williams. I think Camacho and Nia Ali, and I think it would be Nia Ali for sure, and Camacho-Quinn probably going through. Even though Camacho-Quinn is not having the kind of Camacho-Quinn season that you would anticipate, but I mean she's still running pretty good. She's run at 12:31, so I don't know what I'm saying, but she's still up there. But I think it's between Ania Ali and Camacho-Quinn, and then maybe whatever Daniel Williams can try and muster up. So the hurdles are competitive. I think you have to run probably a 12:4 to get into that final. To be secure, to be sure that you'll get into the final. I think that's probably what you have to do. So it's going to be super, 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 super exciting. All right, so what else do I have to cover for the? Oh yeah, I forgot about the men's 800 meters. Let's talk a little bit about the men's 800 meters. I think this was an interesting day for 800 meters. I don't know what happened today. I mean, I'll be honest with you, and maybe somebody can tell me. I mean, was it the heat? But it was very strange in terms of the calculations over 800 meters. I won't get into everything, but we've lost Ferguson Chariot, Rotich. We've lost Peter Boyle. I mean, I don't know what was happening today. I don't think that tactically a lot of guys weren't doing as well as I anticipated them doing. I don't know if it was the heat. I just don't understand what was happening in the 800 meters. Particularly slow times as well. I mean, the first one was relatively good. I think Wanyoni will probably factor big time. He looked good, 44.92. I mean, I think 4 guys from that heat qualified. But when you start to look at the rest, I just wasn't sure what was going on. I mean, like a 145 it doesn't make sense to me. 145.3, and it's just the way in which some of these athletes were just calculating the thing. And in some ways, they were going out too slow. They're bunched up together. I don't know what was happening, mate. I don't have an answer for this. If someone has an answer for this, let me know. But we've lost a number of people. I mean, I was also shocked to see Isaiah Harris running a 148, a 147. Also makes no sense to me. Like, why are you running 147? That means something is off, And I was particularly surprised at the likes of, say, a Peter Bowl from Australia. As you know, he went through a lot this year. I thought he would have come to this championship in good shape and qualify, but he didn't. I mean, Bowl was I'm trying to remember which heat was Peter Bowl in. Was it 6? Yeah, he was in 6, and that was also one in a 145. He won a 147. Maybe he hadn't been training, or maybe just the stress of being accused of blood doping. Maybe that is something to think about. I don't know if many of you remember, but earlier this year, Sports Integrity Australia said, there are some interesting findings. He was charged. It turns out that it was either a false positive, or at least the B sample was something else. There were some independent labs, I believe, in Canada and Norway that looked at the thing, and some people were thinking, I guess some of those reports were suggesting that maybe the people in the lab were mixing up natural EPO for synthetic ones. It's a mess, but he was cleared. He went through a lot. I think he lost some of the kind of financial backing sponsors. So maybe that impacted him, because I think he's a big talent. He finished 4th last time. So we've lost a bunch of people. I think it wasn't until, I would say, heat 7 where Arup from Canada just decided to control it, and he was really comfortable. But for the most part, I was shocked by the whole running of those heats. And maybe if I can look, I don't know what the temperature was. It was really hot out there, and humidity was high, so it's quite possible that something went awry out there. But to lose some of the big names like Corey, I think we lost him, right? Did we lose the Kenyan there? I wasn't quite sure. what happened to him as well. Yeah, maybe he was struggling. I think he didn't run a lot this year as well, if my memory serves me correctly. But he would have been one where I thought he would have done something else, and I just don't know what happened to Rotich either, because I expected much more from those Kenyan guys. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. But again, I want to thank everybody for joining me. I mean, it's been a good day for track and field. I know there's a lot of people on the live. You're probably just listening and not engaging in terms of your questions and comments. But yeah, tomorrow will be exciting again. We'll have a morning session tomorrow. In the World Championships, we've been having 2 days of just evening sessions, and tomorrow we'll get to see women's 800-meter heats, the men's pole vault qualifications on tap, qualification for javelin for women, long jump qualification for men as well in the morning session, and 200-meter heats. That should be spectacular. You get to see the likes of a Sha'carri Richardson, I think, Gabby Thomas, Sharika Jackson, and others. So, Dina Asher-Smith, the like. And so it should set us up for some interesting, things for the morning session. So if you're on Eastern Standard Time, like I am, then you got to get up at about 4 o'clock if you want to catch the morning session. And yeah, and then in the evening, we'll have a number of good events in the evening. We'll end the night with the men's 400-meter final, and that is going to be hurdles rather final, and that is going to be a spectacular event. You're going to have the likes of Varham, Carsten Varham, Rai Benjamin, Alison DeSantis, the three of the all-time fastest men ever, the likes of a Karen McMaster coming back from injury. Probably his best chance, I think, to get on the medal podium, especially because I'm still not quite sure if DeSantis is back to full health. Yeah, but he looked fairly decent as well. And so I think if you want to rattle somebody, it might be time for Matt Masters to step up. Can the kid out of Jamaica do anything? Rashawn Clark. It's going to be a fantastic 400-meter hurdles final. That will cap off the night. But before that happens, we'll also get to see the women's 400-meter final, which I think will also be a superb battle between the likes of a Paulino, a Kazmarek, and a Claver. Adelike, I expect to also do something. We'll see if that long season from the college has an impact. And you can never count out the likes of a Williams out of Barbados. So and then Diggs too. Don't forget Diggs. Even though Diggs is way out in lane 9, she has the potential to try and if the others don't go out as well, then you never know what can happen. But I expect a good running from all of these women. But I think the medals up for grabs. I think Paulina will win. I just feel like she might. But I think it's hard to see Kazmarek and Klavan not getting onto the medal podium as well. But Adelike, I think, is a special talent. And so you let me know who you think will win the women's 400 meters. So those are the two major events that will cap off the evening session. We'll also get, as the hurdles semifinal. Oh, and we get to see the men's 1500-meter final, the likes of a Jakob Ingebrigtsen. I think Ingebrigtsen will try and break the championship record, possibly. I think Negus will do some good running as well. This is going to be a fast race, but I just don't see anybody challenging Jakob. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So a number of things are on tap for tomorrow. Hopefully you get up early and you follow. And I'll be back again, obviously, in the evening to make sure that we unpack the day's events. So again, I want to thank everybody for joining me. It's been my pleasure to unpack some of these things and to engage with you. And if it's your first time on the channel, don't forget to oh yeah, I forgot about. Did I not cover this? I didn't cover this. Yeah, totally didn't cover this. I missed this. So we're not leaving it. Definitely not leaving it. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for saying this. I thought, yeah, we went through this so fast that I totally forgot to do this. Maybe I switched around on my producer here. Yeah, let's go to the women's 400-meter hurdles. That was something special. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, really good running in the women's 400-meter hurdle. So heat number one, semifinal number one was won in a personal best by the Jamaican Russian Clayton, 53:30. Fantastic running. Anna Cockrell. I have a lot of time for that woman too. I think she was really good running as well from Anna Cockrell. So both of them qualified 53:63. And I think Clayton had to run hard to ensure this is how competitive things are for women's 400 meters. And you have to be running really solid to get into the final. So only two women advanced from that. And then in the second semifinal, it was a comfortable victory for Femke Bol, running all by herself, 52.95, which in years gone by would have won a number of world championship titles and Olympic medals, Olympic titles, ahead of the Jamaican Knight, who I thought ran really well. I didn't really think Knight would have done as good as she did this time. And then for the first time in a long time, we've lost one of the all-time greats, Dalila Muhammad. Just didn't quite have it this year. Finishing third, 54.19. She was in the call room for a little bit, in the queue room rather, not enough to get through. And so it's sad to see that, because we know how important Dalila has been, former world record holder as well, a champion in her own right. Will obviously, if this is the end for her, she'll go down as one of the all-time greats. I don't think this is the end for her, and let's hope she bounce back. But right now, I think there's only 2 medals up for grab in the women's 400-meter hurdles, because I think Femke Bol is on a mission to run really low 51. There's nobody close to her. I don't think you can challenge Femke. And not only that, I also think she's come back with a renewed focus, because as we recall, on day number 1 of the championships, shortly after Sifan Hassan went down in the mixed relay, Femke Bol also went down. And so the Dutch lost 2 sure medals at the time. And I think Femke felt bad about it, and I think she's regrouped, and I have no doubt in my mind that she will run extremely fast, and I expect a very low 51. Who knows? Maybe she could go better, but that's just me dreaming. And then heat number 3 was also pretty good. Shamar Little, I thought, was really outstanding. 52.81, season best. Made sure that she won. Adikoya from Bahrain, 53.39. That's an era record. And Genevieve Russell from Jamaica, qualifying with a small queue, but also looked good, 53.69. I think she's been having a good season. Some increased speed over 400 meters as well. And the Italian also made it through 53.89. So I think the final is setting up to be a very competitive battle. We'll end up with a race where it's going to be Femke by herself. If Little is in great form, she might be in a different category as well. And then the battle will be on for everybody else. So we look forward to seeing that. But Femke is a class act. The final is structured. I think Femke is in lane 6. Little is right behind her. But it doesn't really matter, because Femke is just going to go way out early and attack everybody. It's going to be a fantastic 400-meter hurdles final for women. And we'll get one of the all-time fast times as well. All right. So this is my take on the day. I'm happy that you managed to stick around with me for tonight and get involved. I I will see you guys again tomorrow evening. I will come back after the end of the day's activities rather. So thanks everybody. Thanks for liking, subscribing, and for hitting that notification bell. And so you'll see when I come back. I appreciate you, and we'll see you next time. Enjoy the rest of your evening wherever you are, or morning, depending on where you are in the world. As you leave, hit that like button. Bye bye.